Hey guys, this is a quick disclaimer before the episode starts. Just that my audio is bad. My microphone got screwed up. I didn't realize it, and my options were either re-record the entire episode, which would have A, taken forever, B, not had authentic reactions from Emma. And yeah, so I just decided to go with it, and I'm sorry that it sounds like I'm on like a very bad FaceTime call the entire time and that there's like background noise. I'm so sorry, but keep in mind this was after I have already edited it to make it sound better, so it was worse at one point. But yeah, I'm just so sorry. I promise next time it'll be better. Bye.
Hi, welcome back to me talking my version of the Marauders in podcast form with Emma. How are we doing today, Emma?
Oh, we're doing.
We're here. We made it, and that's all that matters. What also matters is that I didn't ask questions, but we had a lot left over from last time, so I feel like we're fine. But somebody, the question I was laughing at when you came and sat down was, any Valentine's plans? No.
With my friends.
Well, good for you. I'm not even doing that. I'm just gonna be chilling.
You could come here.
What day is that? What day is it?
I don't even know.
It's on a Tuesday. I can't. I can't just leave everything on a random Tuesday. But I
You could, and then it would just be me like doing my homework. So.
Yeah, there have been discussions of a possible Galentine's Day thing for some of the girls in my major, but we're all really bad at planning, and like we're always like, we need to do something, and then none of us does anything to like make it happen. This is a good question. Somebody asked what the Marauders would have a podcast about. Because they would.
I feel like it would change over the years.
That's probably true. What do you think it would start out of? What do you think was the idea that was like, we're going to sit down and make a podcast?
We're going to complain about James talking about Lily.
See, no, but James had to be a part of it.
Yeah, he was.
Was he also complaining about?
He was the defense.
Okay, I can see that. I also can see them sitting down and talking about and just going through, like, this is like the year after Hogwarts. They like consider themselves to be really old at this point, and so then they go back and they like they go through the years and review their best pranks.
Yeah.
And I feel like they think that a lot of people want to listen to that, and it's just them. But
just
like
them.
Dylan asked if I miss them. Sure do. What about you? Do you miss Dylan?
Every day.
Okay. You met Dylan like 4 times.
Yeah. No, we had a class together.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I don't know if we ever spoke, and I hated that class.
Wasn't that like freshman or sophomore year when like
freshman year?
Yeah, no, I wasn't even friends with Dylan then. This is a good question. Actually, I don't know if it is for you, but it's a good question for me. But it's, how many tortillas do you use to make a quesadilla?
Depends on how much I want to eat.
Okay, but like, say you just want one quesadilla. How many tortillas is it for one quesadilla?
If I have 2 tortillas, I'll use 2. If I have less, I'll use 1.
You're just purely dependent on the vibes. Like, there's no...
You go for like, I don't know. If you want like a quesadilla, you want like a whole one. If I'm not hungry, I'll just have a half. It just depends on how hungry you are.
See, but I only make half quesadillas. I only make them with 1 tortilla, only.
You'll make like 2 halves?
No, I only fold it in half.
What if...
I'm not gonna stack my tortillas.
What if you want like a full tortilla of a quesadilla?
Then I do. And
you make 2 halves?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to fold my quesadillas. This is very important. Because then you can put stuff in it anyway. Like, I mean, you can put stuff in it. Listen, I'm very set in my ways.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a half tortilla. Not a half tortilla, I'm gonna make a half quesadilla. Always.
Half tortilla.
I'm just gonna cut a tortilla in half. Exactly.
Then would you use the 2 halves or
No.
fold it into a quarter?
Then I would fold it into a quarter. Because that's what makes sense. Has anybody recognized you from school this semester?
No, but there is someone here that listens to it that I know.
Oh yeah, because they said something. They guessed the right school.
I don't
And I
know
was
who.
like, you would only know that if you went to Emma's school. So say hi to Emma.
No, because they have
Literally.
to. They've
They
got to be
literally,
living near me, like
yeah,
just
and,
same
like, I
area.
also,
There's only so many people that
I know.
the
You
things
guys
I
go to
said
huge
apply
schools.
to.
Yeah. Anyway, the vibes are. But has anybody else recognized me? No. But which honestly makes me feel better because that means that there's nobody in my like vocal area that knows about it, and that makes me very happy. Stop. This person just said this isn't a question, but this person said, guess what? My choir teacher's name is Mr. Remus. Imagine that being your name. That goes so hard. Like, also his
Mr.
name is
Remus.
literally Mr. Wolf. Who or what was the inspiration for Kyra? I don't know. All my other characters have a very clear inspiration. She just showed up.
Just
And
there.
I feel like that fits. But anyway, I have to find a good one. Okay. Favorite hair holder. This is important. So, do we like hair ties, scrunchies, or like the claw clips?
I
Yeah.
like those.
Yeah. What do you call those? Because some people don't watch.
The bracelet ones.
No, that's not. They're like
They're
they
the
gotta
swirly ones.
the telephone cord ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a go-to scrunchy gal. I don't understand. My mom used to wear the clips because clips have come back and stuff like that. So she used to always have the clips around and would wear them around the house when I was a kid. And I tried to do it and it hurt so bad. And I don't understand because you can't lay down. You can't do
Yeah.
anything. And I'm like, how
I
do
like
people
them
wear
though.
these?
They keep it like off of your neck and it's just nice. It's just out of the way.
Well, I get that, but I'm like, I don't know. I value my comfort too much. I can't
Can
lay
be
down.
comfortable.
Okay, but like not if you forget that it's there and then you're sitting in your car.
Yeah,
And you
I
hit
don't
the
like
back.
to drive with it.
Oh my gosh. It's never
I don't
worth
drive
it.
that much though.
Well, good for you. Some of us have a dog to take care of.
Okay.
You have to go to PetSmart. If you wear a claw clip in your hair, no. Stop it. Get some help.
I literally have a basket
No.
of them.
No. All right. Well, let's I don't know. I can't think of a verb.
Clip on in.
Fine. We will claw clip our way in to this episode. Very I'm not happy about it, but we will do it because I can't think of anything else. Anyway, so we are vibing. It is the Easter holiday. And by the way, I got a couple answers from people where I was like, hey, how come everybody always goes home for Christmas, but it's not really a thing for Easter holiday? It's just like a family holiday for a lot of people. Like Christmas is like a family holiday where everybody goes home, and Easter's just not like that. They're like, we're just gonna vibe, which is interesting because to me, Easter seems much more like a family holiday.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's Easter.
I know. Anyway.
It's like a whole week, right?
Yeah, because then it's like you got like Good Friday and all that stuff along with I don't know, but that's the answer I was given, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go with that. But anyway, so when the news goes around the castle that Lily is like, hey, like I'm staying here, then like basically what happened was like actually every single Muggleborn stays in the castle, and pretty much everybody who wasn't Muggleborn went home. So it is a Muggle-born party up in here. But yeah, with the exception of like Lily's friends and you know, some other people and stuff like that. But
Sirius
you know,
goes home.
and it's what home? But anyway, you know, it's kind of sad to Lily that like everybody's got to stay back, and it's also kind of scary because it's like, what if I made the wrong call? Like, what if? And then everybody's gonna be like, well, I did it because Lily did it, and she's like, shoot, you know. Anyway, but nothing really seemed to happen. So like everybody on the first day is like waiting to see if like news would come, but nothing does. And slowly, you know, people start to loosen up, and things are okay. There weren't like a ton of students left, obviously, and some of them like didn't know that the others were Muggle-born or like, you know, stuff like that. But just in general, it's a pretty good time. Like people are getting to know each other. Things are pretty lit. I don't know why I added this in. I just thought it was funny. But anyway, but like, you know, they're all just kind of hanging out, and I feel like there's less time in like common rooms and more like in like public areas, like, you know, and stuff like that. But anyway, this one Hufflepuff girl is like really trying to get to know Sirius really well. And it starts off like fine. But she's like, you know, I just want to let you know, I think it's great that you're standing up for Muggle-borns, even though your family is like the worst. And he's like, okay, don't really know how you know all the details about my family, but like, okay. He's like, I try, you know, and they just kind of start talking. And then they talk for a while. And then it becomes clear she's trying to shoot her shot with Sirius. And Remus is sitting on the next couch. and he's just reading, but he's not actually reading. He's just staring at the book now. But Sirius shuts her down pretty quickly. He's like, I'm sorry, like you seem nice, but like I am actually seeing someone. It's just like not widely known. And she's like, oh, and she's like, I'm sorry, like someone here? And he's like, no, it's a girl. And then immediately realizes that's not usually. Anyway, and then he's like, okay, from Ivermorty, actually. Is that how you say it?
I don't know.
The American one? I don't know. And she's like, an American. He's like, yeah, is there something wrong with that? And she's like, well, you know, but you know, they kind of laugh that off. But she's just chill to talk to, so he keeps on talking or whatever. But then she goes like, okay, but like how serious can a relationship with an American be? Does she live here now? And Sirius is like, no, she lives in America. Anyway, but he's like, he can't help himself, and he goes, every relationship with me is serious.
Okay.
And she doesn't get Remus does. And he's just like, stop. But she keeps on pressing it. She's like, what's her name? And he goes, Romula, because of course. It's a tried and true Romula thing. And Remus makes a face that almost makes Sirius laugh out loud because he can like see him. I feel like he's sitting here, she's there, and you know, he's kind of behind her or whatever. And she goes, is that an American name? And he goes, yeah, it's super popular.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, okay, what's she like? And he's like, well, she's tall, blonde, and gorgeous. like smacking his head into the book. He's like, I hate this. But he's like, I got a tattoo for her actually, just now, you know. She loves the moon, so and at this point, Remus just slams his book shut and goes, Sirius, I have a feeling Romula wouldn't like it if you're talking to other girl. And the girl is like, wow, is she that pushy? And Sirius goes, yeah, is she? Is she, Remus? And Remus goes, yes. And then the conversation ended. But Sirius is like, okay, you're like upset with that? And he's like, you were just doing it to annoy me. And he's like, yeah, I can't miss an opportunity to bring up Romula. Like, what is Anyway, just fun little moment. Let's see James and Lily. So they get called into Minerva's office one day, and she's like, hey, so like even though less than half of the student population is here, someone decided to start raiding Slughorn's storehouse, like pretty much every night so far. And she's like, so like patrols have to come back. And James was like, the prefects here are gonna hate that. And she's like, I know, which is why you guys are doing it and nobody else. And they're like, okay,
Get Romula
cool.
to do it.
For real. But then, so, then they're leaving the office, and James was like, okay, Lily, we do have a magical map. And he's like, and here's the thing. There's so few people here that like we can keep an eye on everything just from the map, so we don't have to like walk around or like do anything. We can just like kind of chill. And so, that was their night. So I think James, like, in order to make it not completely awful, like sneaks into Honeydukes and gets some like, butterbeers or something, and they're just like kind of set up camp in the Great Hall, checking the map and like maybe occasionally getting up and walking around. But it's not nearly as bad as it could have been, And there's absolutely nothing happening. Like, I feel like when they're doing regular patrols, like there's gonna be somebody out of bed or like somebody doing something. There's nothing going on. There's like just not enough people at the school for anything to really happen. And it's like super late. And Lily's like, what are the odds this person got what they needed and is just never gonna come back again? And James is like extremely high. I mean, like, come on. And he goes, I mean, like, we always made sure we only had to go one time to get ingredients for things. And Lily's like, what the heck? And he's like, what? We did. We were smart about it. No prefects ever caught us. And she's like, Remus was a prefect. And he's like, and we always made sure that he was on duty whenever we needed anything. And she shoves him and she's like, what the heck? And he's like, it's true. And we made sure you weren't. She's like, I can't believe I'm dating you. And he's like, me neither. Love you. But then after a while, she's like, nobody's gonna show up. And he's like, yeah, I would bet on it. And Lily's like, good. And then that was the first time they truly distracted each other while on rounds. They just start like a full-on makeout session in the Great Hall because nobody's there and they have to be there and they're so bored. And also they like each other,
No
all that
way.
stuff too. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. But anyways, they're having a great time. And such a good time that they completely miss the footsteps that are going right through the Great Hall, like right by them. And then, and honestly, the culprit probably would have gotten away with sneaking back into Slughorn's storehouse if he didn't let his emotions get the better of him. And he's like, I cannot believe you. And Lily and James break apart immediately, jump into their feet because it's freaking Snape. And she's like, hello. But anyway, Lily composes herself way faster than James. She's like, it's after hours, go back to your dorm. Immediately. And he's like, okay, yeah, doubt you're supposed to be snogging during your rounds. And James is like, okay, leave. And James like tries to step in front of Lily, but she like holds him back and she's like, this isn't your fight. And then Snape is getting angry. He's like, I just don't understand how you could be with him. Like, I honestly didn't believe it. Like, after everything that he did to me, to us. And she's like, everything he
What about
did.
what Snape did?
Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah. He's like, you used to have sense, Lily. I thought you still did, but you ran off to be with James Potter like every other freaking girl in the school. And she's like, better that than staying friends with you. And he's like, how can you say that? I made one mistake, Lily. One. And she's like, it was more than one. And he's like, and you never forgave me. And I begged. And what did Potter have to do? Look pretty? And she's like, he actually changed.
You
and
think he's
like,
pretty?
That'd be so funny if James was like, you think I'm pretty? It's too tense for that. In the actual moment, it's very tense.
James thought it.
He for sure thought it. He was like, gotta hold back. But anyway. But she's like, he actually changed. And he's like, yeah, sure. He's the same arrogant prick that he always has been. Look at you. You're kissing him in a dark corridor in the middle of the night. That's not you, Lily. And she's like, so what if it is? He's like, it's not. Have you forgotten everything that he did? The names, the curses, the bullying, the pestering you to go out with him. Like, he tortured me, Lily. And Lily's like, he never called me a mudblood. And he's like, yeah, sure he didn't. Pureblood like he is? You think he never did to his friends? You're way too naive to think he was the only exception. And that got Lily to stop for a second because James was the worst. And it had never crossed her mind that maybe he had said that at some point when he was younger. And so that kind of gets her to stop for a second, but then she shakes it away. She's like, "You have no idea who he is." And he's like, "Don't I? Don't I know how he takes every opportunity to show how much better he is than everyone else?" And it's just continuing. And
I know his mom though.
So true. He doesn't know Effie. But Snape just keeps on going, and things get more and more harsh. And James kind of notices Lily like shutting down. He tries to like step in to intervene, but she like turns around. She's like, "It is not your fight. You're gonna stay back." And he's like, "Okay, shoot, like okay, whatever." But Snape just keeps on going, and Lily's like seeing red. And then she's like, "How could he, the one who betrayed her, say all these things and acting like she's the bad guy, and that James has always been the bad one and all that stuff?" But then Snape is saying, "You're just like everyone else. You know that every other girl who couldn't wait to sleep with James Potter. You know that he's gonna leave as soon as he gets bored, like he always does, and then you're gonna come crawling back to me. And guess what?" And at this point, a curse just goes from Lily's wand straight at Snape's face. And she's barely even aware of it because that's how angry she is. She has no idea what it even is. It's almost like the fire that one day when he was like, "I'm sorry about your parents." Yeah. But she's kind of relieved when she realizes it's a pretty childish hex, like one that puts like mild like boils all over your face. They don't hurt as much as they're supposed to embarrass. But the thing that it is the same hex that James used hundreds of times on Snape in his childhood. And it was a spell that Lily had always said was horrible and that James was just cruel for using. But it wasn't James who did it, it was Lily. And so when Snape looks at her and is like, "Well, look at that. You're just like him now." It hurts. She's like, "Oh, shoot." And guilt is falling over Lily as he just walks back to his dorm. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just cursed him. Like the thing that I said, I was like so much better than that. Like I was never going to do that. I was never going to sink to his level." And what did it take him? Just like some embarrassing words or something? Like just getting a little annoyed. But James is like, "Hey, like Lily, it's all right." And she like flinches away and she's like, "Was she the bully now? Like had James never stopped being the bully?" Like all these things are going through her head. And he's like, "Lily, it's all right." And she's like, "I cursed him." And he's like, "He was asking for it." And Lily just spins around and stares at James. And she's like, "He was asking for it." And James is confused. And he's like, "Lily, I just mean that." She's like, "No, stay away from me." And he's like, "What?" She's like, "I don't want anything to do with you." And then she turns and leaves.
Fun.
So
Ooh.
So James is standing there for a minute. He's trying to contemplate what the heck just happened. But it's all coming down to Snape. And he can't believe himself. He's like, "I cannot believe I just stood by and let Lily take that. Like clearly it affected her. And isn't it like his job to stand up for her, for himself?" Like Snape was saying bad things about James too. Like, what the heck? And it's like, now what he's supposed to do? He's just supposed to like, sorry, oh my god, he's just supposed to like stay there, like stay here. And he's like, "No, Snape is the issue." And Snape had barely left. He could catch up with him. He could fight him. Part of him knew that Snape is just waiting, like right outside the hallway, expecting him to do it. But Lily wouldn't want him to do that. But Lily also wouldn't want him to follow her because, like, when she says things like that, she means it. She's not like, "But like, follow me." Like, no, that's not. Anyway, and so he's like, okay, so he's just like there, and he's like, "What am I supposed to do here? Like, I can't go after either of them." And then he's like, "Shoot, I have to be head boy." And so what was for almost certainly the first time in his life, he went to McGonagall and reported Snape instead of just fighting him. So we're gonna fast forward to like later, a while later, probably like that morning. James is sitting at McGonagall's desk. He's just thinking, and then McGonagall comes back. He's just been in there alone for a while. And she's like, "Cool. So quick search of Snape's things revealed that everything that was missing from Slughorn's storehouse." So she's like, "So that's pretty lit." And she's like, "But he also claimed that he was attacked by you, but that he healed himself." And James looks at her and she's like, "With like a boil hex." And James looks up and he's like, shoot, how am I supposed to react to that? And then she's like, yeah, I don't believe for a second that you would still just use a boil jinx on him. Like, come on, in this day and age. And he's like, yeah, you're right. But, and then James is like, cool, like, is that it then? And she's like, in regards to Severus? Yeah. And then James is like, cool, then I'm gonna head out. And she's like, James, where's Lily? And James is like, I don't know, probably asleep. Told you I did it alone tonight, you know? And she's like, you're telling me you two had the opportunity to spend time alone together and you just didn't? And he's like, you know how she gets when she doesn't sleep, Professor.
That's true.
Like,
I don't want to go back to
also,
that.
I feel like Lily is growing out of that stage of her life. But you know, it's still kind of true. It's just a side note. And she's like, so the fact that Severus said that you both were there snogging in the Great Hall, just like a lie. And James was like, and he really is about to say like, yeah, like of course it's a lie. He really is, but McGonagall is not buying it, and he realizes that, and then he just doesn't really want to lie to her. So he's like, fine, she was with me, and she's like, and what happened? And he's like, huh. And he like stammers his way through exactly what happened, but it's the truth. And then it comes to the part where Lily hit Snape with the curse, and James is like, and then and then I threw the boil curse at him. And McGonagall's like, you did? And James is like, no. I didn't. Lily did. But please don't get her in trouble, because like for anything, he didn't even get hurt, and you already saw he like fixed himself already. And she's like, Lily threw the curse? And he's like, yeah. She's like, actually? He's like, yeah. And she's like, what have you done to her, James? And James is like, yeah, well, that's what Snape said. And he's like, and then she got really, really mad at me and like mad at herself. And anyway, he keeps on going. And he's like, and then I came here because I didn't know what else to do. And it occurred to me that it was definitely Snape stealing all the ingredients anyway. So, and she's like, cool. And it's just quiet for a minute. And then he's like, what am I supposed to do, Professor? And she's like, about Lily? And he's like, yeah, do I just talk to her or like not? I feel like they're both bad options. I feel like if I go to her, then I'm being obnoxious because she said she doesn't want to be around me. And then, you know, she might think I really am just trying to convince her to be with me. But if I don't, then I'm like leaving her, and like, it's not good. And she's like, I think it's clear to anyone that you've changed a great deal in the past few years. And I think most of all, it's clear to Lily. And it sounds as though Severus really got under her skin. You know, wonder what that's like. I'm sure you've never experienced that before. But she's like, I'd be shocked if she doesn't come around soon. Really? And he's like, really? And she's like, yeah. She's like, you should go get some sleep now. And so he does. So that's kind of funky. So we're gonna go to the next morning. So Rebus and Sirius leave the castle to go look at houses. This is my favorite part. This is so fun. Yeah, now we get a little fun part. That was the worst thing that's gonna happen in this episode. The rest is all uphill. We're all good.
I really thought someone was gonna like die.
No, but Rebus and Sirius are like, cool, we're gonna go look at houses. And Sirius, I feel like Sirius took control of this whole thing. It seems like a Remus thing to do, but I don't think that's what happened. So he has like been collecting daily profits and like has a whole list of like house listings in the magical world. And so he's like, cool, we're gonna go to all of them. I've made many appointments. And it's like, okay. But anyway, so they saw a few in like magical communities, and all of them make Remus just wildly uncomfortable. Because he's like
I'll know something's up.
Yeah, he's like, I feel like they're gonna figure something out, and Sirius is like, no one's gonna find out if we don't want them to. It'll just be like at school. And he's like, okay, but what if they do? What if everyone knows? And then I have to go through the ministry and get registered. And what if there's kids around? Like, I know it's just making him very uncomfortable. So then they tried a few more wizarding houses in Muggle areas, like kind of like what Grimmauld Place is. And Remus likes these better because it's like, they have all the magical elements, but they're in a muggle thing, and so like they're gonna basically be ignored and all that stuff. But Sirius doesn't like them because they remind him of his childhood more than he would care to admit. And Remus kind of sees that they're just like all of these houses that are like in muggle communities, I feel like are the oldest. And they like are just much more ornate and stuff, and like it's like the rich wizards are like, I'm gonna make my own thing, and do anyway. I feel like that's a rich wizard thing. So anyway, so then Sirius is wildly uncomfortable in these houses, and so they get through. Oh, there's Snuff. Hi, baby. Big stretch. She's just hi.
Snuffles.
What a good girl. But anyway, so then they go through and they had a lot of appointments to go to, but they both hate all of them. And so then they're like, shoot. So then it's like the end, it's getting towards the end of the day. And they have nothing to show for it. It's not great. And so then they sit down in like a muggle coffee shop in London, and Remus picks up a muggle paper. And he's like, what if we just get a muggle house? Sirius says, what if we just get a muggle house? And Remus is like, yeah, surely no one would notice that their neighbors just disappear all the time, like just gone. And he's like, well, some people do it. I mean, like, what do we need? Like, we make the houses that like all of these other super like older protected things there, or we can just do that. And he's like, we can't just do that. Those like took years and years and years to set up. Also, it's a war. What if we get targeted? We can't just like have a bunch of muggles on the line for that too. Like, I don't know. At least with wizards, they can protect themselves a little bit. So Remus looks down at the paper. He's like, I don't know. I feel like we can try though. And so they do. So they try their best to look like muggles because they have not been in muggle things recently. So they're like, I don't think they're in robes, but I don't think they look normal.
Fair enough.
And so they're like, okay, we're gonna look like muggles. And then they go to like a small city apartment, and they're like, okay, this feels better. And they like are looking through things, and Remus is like, okay, I feel like with the right enchantments, like, and if we're super careful, it might work out. And Sirius is like, I like it too. But then they tried one more. And this one, although it was listed as an open house, they go to it, and they are by far the only ones there. It is in a field in the middle of nowhere. It is a just tiny and overgrown cottage, and it's not what either of them have been looking for, but immediately they're like, sweet, yeah, this is it. The door is closed, and Remus is like, no one's here, and Sirius is like, it's an open house, and he's like, yeah, but there's still supposed to be someone here. And then they just wait, and no one shows up, and then Sirius is like, okay, no harm in trying, and he just walks up to the door, and he's like, Sirius, what's going on? So then they open the door, or they tried, because it stuck a lot. And when they finally force themselves in, they realize that everything is covered in dust. No one has been here in like 15 years at least. And it's small, and it's just one floor, and there's 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a kitchen. And there's like evidence of mice and other things that have lived in this cottage. But they're like, yeah. They're like, yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And there's a fireplace, and like the living room's pretty large for the size of the house. And it's just like, and the kitchen's big enough for a table, and there's like all these windows and stuff, and it's just overall they're like, yeah, this is great. And Sirius is like, oh my gosh, there's even a room for James.
James.
There's 2 bedrooms, and they just both start laughing. And then at the back there's like a small room that leads into like this back porch area, and like just it's like a perfect little book nook, and like everything. Snuffle, shut up.
Oh my gosh, she just likes the house.
It is 5 minutes past dinner time. You are okay. But yeah, it's just like everything's covered in dust, and it's all messy, but they're like, we could fix this with magic in like an hour. Like, it's fine. And so then they're standing out, and they're looking out like over all of this land. And then the voice finally meets them, and they're like, hey, who are you? And Remus turns, and they see like this man coming from the woods. And they're like, hey, we're here for the open house. We just let ourselves in. And he's like, sorry, I live up the hill, and I usually hear if anybody's driving over. So I thought I could go back home and rest for a bit, seeing as no one was going to show up. I must have missed your car. And they look at each other, and then he's like, and then the guy's like, where is your car? Because there's nowhere for them to like hide a car here. They just don't have one. And Remus is like, we hitchhiked. We got a ride, you know. Sirius did not know, but he pretends that he knows what that is. He's like, yes,
Yeah.
hitching and hiking. Yep. But then Remus is like, anyway, we love the house. And he's like, you do? And he's like, yes, we think it's going to be great for us. And the man is like, what the heck? And he goes, oh, you know, because there's 2 rooms.
For James.
But Sirius is like, oh my gosh. And then he just takes over and he's like, we'd like to buy it if we can. How much? And he's like, you're not buying the house so much as you're buying like the land. And Sirius is like, well, does the house come with the land? And he's like, yeah, but like, I'm sorry, you won't be able to move in, like, if that's what you want. And they're like, wait, why not? And he's like, there's no electricity, like, in it for a start. And Remus and Sirius look at each other, and Remus is like, yeah, that's not going to be a problem. And the man is like, okay. So they just have wildly confused the man who owns this property, who is going to be their next door neighbor. But they got the house, so it's all good. So yeah, so they got a house. I'm so happy for them. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's perfect. I just want this. I want this muggle to come up with the wildest theories about everything.
And honestly, some are probably right.
Yeah, he's like, I bet they're freaking wizards. And it's like, eh. But anyway, Remus and Sirius come back to Hogwarts, and then they find James like just chilling alone in the common room, which is kind of unlike him. And
where's
like,
Peter?
Peter has been simply vibing. Kyra is not here, and Peter is doing who knows what.
He's stealing from the other storerooms.
yeah, that's what he's doing. No, but he's really been keeping to himself. I kind of left him out of here on purpose. But anyway, Remus and Sirius return. They find James just chilling in the common room alone, and they're like, hey, like, what's up? He's like, hey, like, there is kind of something happened with Lily. I'm not gonna get into the specifics, but yeah, I think we might be having like I don't think it's a fight, but there's something going on. And they're like, shoot, that's not good. And so then they sit down and they talk with him, and they're like, it's okay, we got you a bedroom. At our place,
you have a room.
I think
they're like, there is no water.
They're like, there is no water at all. And he's like, okay, can we summon water? They're like, no.
No, that's against the rules.
You have to keep it with no water. No. But I think when they move in, they gotta like above the doorway, it says James's room. Like, it's just for him. It's supposed
just
to be a guest room, but it's just James. But anyway, so they talk for a while. But then Lily comes in, and she's like, hey, James, can I talk to you? And he's like, sure. And so then they start walking around the castle, and she's like, I think I've been a jerk. And he's like, you absolutely have not been, Lily. You needed your space. That's all. And she's like, yeah, but you know, I feel like James has just become like a million times more understanding since he was in 5th year. But anyway, they continue to walk, and Lily is like, sorry, I just, you know, feel like as a kid, I never considered that you and your friends were actually coming from a good place before, and that's kind of stuck with me. And then like I did that, and I'm like, I don't know anything. You know, and James talked about, he's like, well, yeah, we were pretty dang mean. We were, and it sucks, and I regret it, but we were very annoying and cringy, and we really did not treat Snape like a human. And he's like, and that can't have helped anything with him. And she's like, yeah, but he also didn't have to become such a jerk. And he's like, yeah, I think both things can be true. But you know, they're vibing. But James goes, but Lily, I want you to know that I'm like, I don't think this is. He's like, Lily, I want this relationship to last. I don't want it to go away after Hogwarts. And she's like, well, neither do I. I don't want it to go away either. And you know, they're stopped now in a hallway, and no one's around. And then James is like, do you want to move in with me?
It's like, I got a room.
like, what? And he just panics and he's like, oh, would you maybe consider living in the same place as me after Hogwarts? And she's like, you want us to live together? He's like, only if you want to. And Lily does. She's been thinking about it, actually. She's like been talking with Mary about like, you know, them rooming together, but she was like secretly hoping that James would ask. But he is so embarrassed and it cracks her up. And so she starts laughing. And he's like, you can think about it as long as you want. And really, I'm not going to be offended or anything if you don't want to. She's like, I'll think about it. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. And she's like, cool, I've thought about it. Sounds good. And he's like, sounds good. And she's like, yeah, we should do it. And he's like, really? And she's like, yes, you idiot. And yeah, so that was how the conversation went. It was not how James planned it because James did not plan it.
Oh, James.
But yeah. So unfortunately, the kids at Hogwarts are still kind of stressed because what if everyone dies? You know,
Yeah.
it's not like a fun time. It doesn't help that there's like this vague newspaper article this one day that's like, maybe it was something bad or maybe it was a complete accident and nobody knows. And it's like, shoot. But yeah, so that happens this one morning, and everybody's at one table in the Great Hall because there's just not that many of them. And it's like quiet and kids are upset and it's not fun. But James especially is upset by this because like the progression of the war had really changed how each like year is doing. Like he's like, in my second year, we wouldn't have been like this. We were still like things were still happening, but we were like still doing fun things and stuff. And he's like, I feel like I'm not seeing that. And yeah, it's because first of all, they were absolutely insane. And second of all, he was very privileged in the fact that he didn't really have to pay attention to the war that much. But he still thinks he's like, these kids deserve to have a good time. Because he's like, no one that they know has been hurt. It's just stress. Everybody's safe for now. And they need like a reminder of that. So James pulls the gang together, which right now is Sirius, Remus, Peter, Mary, and Lily. And he's like, I think everybody's too sad. And Lily's like, well, I'm sorry about that. And James looks at her, he's like, okay, I'm sorry. I don't want the children to feel bad, Lily. She's like, they're gonna be sad and stressed. And he's like, yeah, sometimes, not all the time though. That would be miserable. And they're kids. And Lily's like, fine. And she's like, oh, okay, what is it then? The bloody footprint? Like, what do you
Hang on, my mom is calling me.
Betsy?
Hi, Mom.
How are you? Okay, sorry, I'll let you go.
Okay, bye, Mom. Love you.
That was so cute. But anyway, she's like, okay, you're kind of right though. But what are you gonna do now? The bloody footprint? Like, I feel like we're running out of things. You're just gonna turn everything to sand? He's like, no, nothing like that. We just need. He's like, we just need a good party. And she's like, James, they're 12. And he's like, okay.
12-year-olds can have parties.
He's like, okay, Remus. He's like, this is the plan. He's like, Remus, you're coming with me, and we're getting drinks and sweets from Hogsmeade, and yeah. And Remus is like, cool, done. He's like, Peter, you're gonna get some kids together, and you're gonna go to the kitchens and get lots of food. And he's like, Mary, decorations, not just Gryffindor colors, all decorations, sparkles. And she's like, frick yeah, like I don't know. And Sirius was like, okay, what? Hold on. I usually do the decorations. What's going on here? And he's like, Sirius. He's like, you and Lily are on music. Nothing magical. All Muggle music. And they're like, okay. And so then things begin. And this is right after breakfast. So they have all day, and they're like, we're doing it tonight. Like, we're gonna make it happen. And so everybody is doing their job. And by lunch, everybody who is currently in the school knows that there's going to be a party in the Gryffindor common room and has been given the password, but is also been told to keep it very secret from the professors. Why? Because James thought it would be more fun. He's like, it's not going to be fun if all the professors know about it. Like, what the heck? And so it's a very big secret. And honestly, the kids thought that was fun too. So like everybody's like sneaking around and doing it anyway. But the best thing that has happened was from Lily and Sirius. They decided that just picking out the best records is not going to cut it. They had to figure out an exact playlist, but those didn't really exist. And so what they did was they're like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna duplicate these records, and then we're gonna cut out the specific songs that we want. So they're not ruining our records. So they do that for like so many songs, just all of their favorites. And then they anyway, it was a whole magical thing. But they figured out how to do it. And then they also went and they stole McGonagall's record player again. I think they both have record players, but it's just more fun to steal McGonagall. And they're all about having fun today. But anyway, it is a solid good time. But yeah, literally it took Lily and Sirius so long to figure out how to get individual songs. Like they missed lunch. They are they are working so hard on this, and they won't let anybody else help. Like they are just but no, now they have some absolute bangers ready to go. A lot of it is Queen, a lot of it is Bowie, but that's not they got some range here, you know. But they barely finish their song list when kids start showing up. And the Muggle music does wonders for this party. These kids have not been able to fully enjoy it unless they just have chill roommates who are sure, I'll listen to songs that I don't know forever. But and they would have had to figure out how to make record players work with magic and not electricity and all this stuff, and some of them are young. Anyway, so it is a solid good time. Once people start showing up, they're I think this is gonna be the best party we've ever thrown, and I think it is.
It's all the second years.
Things start off fun, but when Lily and Sirius start to get into it, things go a little crazy. They got Don't Stop Me Now, and then they're both on tables, and they're absolutely losing their mind. And they're having full lip sync performances, and everybody's hyping them up. It's a good time. I think Sweet Caroline went so hard, even though they're all British. And at that point, it becomes so loud that Remus has to go outside and cast another silencing charm because it's just too loud. And James has managed to find every golden snitch in the castle. No one asked for this. And then added little lights and sparkles onto them, and then just released them all. So he's having a great time. It's like a disco extravaganza. There's a lot of ABBA. There's a whole it's so much fun. It is the best party that they have ever thrown. And no words I can say or write down will describe it. It was just amazing. But of course, it's wishful thinking to think that none of the professors would realize every single kid going to Gryffindor Tower, except for Snape. I will say Snape did not show up for the party, which kind of lame, but
no way.
But sure enough, McGonagall realizes, and she's like, and at first I feel like at first she doesn't do anything about it.
Was Snape just there to steal the stuff, or was he
Snape? I mean, where's Snape gonna go home to?
I don't know. Everyone else is just gone.
Yeah, I feel like there's still some people there, but he very much stayed reclusive and stuff like that. He was not part of anything. He had his own journey that he is going on that involved getting some stuff from Slughorn, which we will probably come back to at some point. But sorry.
Anyways, sorry.
No, you're good. But sure enough, McGonagall realizes everybody's gone. She's like, and I bet they're all in Gryffindor Tower, but she was like, you know what? It's fine. It's whatever. Until it's 2 a.m. And then she's like, this is going on a really long time. And this is still a school. And there are still rules. And we did have rules in place that nobody was supposed to be out of their common rooms. And everybody is. Anyway, she's like, okay, I gotta go say something about this. So she decides to go up, and let me tell you, there were some broken rules here. There was alcohol being consumed. Because
second years go crazy.
Hey, everybody got so mad at me when I was like, I don't think they would drink that much, even though it's Europe or whatever. and they were like, every single child in Europe has consumed copious amounts of alcohol. So fine, they were drinking alcohol. I don't care. It was also the 70s, which, whatever. But, so anyway, but beyond that, upon entering the common room, McGonagall finds Sirius and Lily on a table. Absolute carnage. You can barely see anything because the snitches. And Sirius has his shirt off, and they are the whole room, everybody in the room, including 11-year-old children, is singing Fat Bottom Girls by Queen at the top of their voices right as she opens the door. And she just stands there, and she's like this is beyond, they've thrown parties before, but there was something about this that she's like, this has crossed a line. And she just stands there for about 30 seconds, and nobody realizes that she's there. And then Lily finally does, and she's like, shoot. And so then she scrambles. She's never been so embarrassed in her life. She scrambles off of a table. But James gets there first, because although he had orchestrated the entire event, he didn't really know many of the songs. And so he's just been chilling and sitting back and observing this whole thing, because that's what makes James happy. And so, but anyway, so James makes it to McGonagall first, which embarrasses Lily even more. And he's like, hey, Professor, what can I do for you? And she practically runs into James trying to get there in time. And she's like, hi, Professor, I'm so sorry. And Minerva's just like, I what? And James is like, what can we do? And she's like, you can make sure this is done by 3. And then just turns around, and they're like, yo, are we gonna get away with this? And then she turns around for a second, and she says, and 5 points from Gryffindor. Then she goes, for whatever Sirius is doing right now. And then she leaves, and that's how they got away with the best party at Hogwarts with only 5 points from Gryffindor. And that's the end of the episode.
That's pretty good.
What are our thoughts?
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm glad no one died.
Are you glad that I waited for you to be here? Yeah. But I feel like at this point, in season 3, I don't feel like I can have a guest, because it's there's always something substantial that is happening, And I don't feel like I can throw in somebody blind like I usually do. Somebody commented on one of my TikToks recently. It was like, since you're doing it on Discord, you should maybe ask fans to come on and live react to an episode. And I'm like, see, here's the thing, that sounds great.
Craig.
We do have Craig. And I'm like, here's the thing, that sounds great. I would be terrified. I would be so scared, and I don't think I would ever get through an actual episode. Because I think some people forget that I have an anxiety disorder.
I feel like we also just say a lot of things that I don't think everyone wants to hear.
We say a lot of things that do not make it into the episode. We have a lot of conversations that I will listen to, and I'm like, man, I gotta delete 5 minutes of it. But, Anyway. Yeah, any specific comments? I know I really left Peter out of this because Kyra went home. But yeah, we're gonna get some places with that. We got a good episode next. Or maybe in the next 2. I don't know. We got some good episodes coming up. We're gonna finish off their year strong. I was gonna finish off the year with something sad, but I don't think I can do that. So we're just not. Okay. We're just gonna push it off till summer, and it's gonna be a sad summer, but that's fine.
Real life summer or their summer?
Oh, their summer.
Okay.
I just don't want to finish it off. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Peter is worrying. The rest was good. The rest was great.
That's my favorite thing. You and Kristen.
Yeah.
Text me and are like, we are so stressed about Peter. And I'm like, We all know what happened.
That's why.
Why is that more? You know that it's
Yeah.
coming.
That's
So
why.
It's like, I'm sorry that I'm foreshadowing like a responsible writer, but like I don't know. It's so funny to me. Anytime anything happens, you guys are like, I'm really worried about what's going to happen to
really
Peter.
worried about what's going to happen with Peter.
Happen.
That's why I'm worried. Because I know that's going to happen.
Well, then what? I don't know. I don't understand that line of thinking. Oh my gosh. Anyway, well, we can probably finish out this episode. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Shout out to Benji. Shut up. Shout out to Benji for the music, and Modest for the cover arts. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye.